So, Jump Force has been out for a little over a week now, and I've had enough time to say with certainty that this game fucking sucks. It's extremely unpolished and simply just not very nice to look at. And it's extremely disappointing to see something that had such an ambitious premise be executed so poorly. For one of the most anticipated games of 2019, it really failed to deliver on pretty much all aspects, except maybe the gameplay, but more on that later. The game was full of potential, and unfortunately it is so far the biggest flop of 2019 in my eyes. So as I said before, the gameplay may be the only positive I can take from the game, but even then the gameplay has a lot of little flaws. The fighting itself, it is flashy and it's fun to look at, but when executed well it does look even better, but it is extremely simple, with the player really only needing to really hit one button the whole time, square or X. And it does not feel good, and it feels as if all these other extra moves are in there to just pretend as if the game is more complex than it actually is. And for some reason, randomly in the middle of the game, it decides to just ramp up difficulty ridiculously high to the point of where the enemy can just take away half your life bar with one hit. And it doesn't make the game fun in a challenging way, it just makes the game extremely frustrating to play, because the game has no depth or complexity to the fighting. And the CPU is so bad that it's almost laughable, to be honest, to see it done so poorly in 2019. I have just shit on the game, even though I was saying it was good, but the gameplay does actually really shine when you are fighting an actual real life person, when, you actually have to use your brain to read the other player's movements and what they're gonna do. And the game becomes actually more complex and fun to play. And I actually found the game enjoyable when I was fighting other online players. But you only do this in your own time outside of the story, so you don't spend a lot of time actually using your brain in this game. But look, the fighting does look flashy and very nice at times, like I said before. The animations do look very nice, except for when you're not fighting. And it does feel great to execute a somewhat, we'll call it a difficult move, I guess. And yeah, but it's fun to look at, but outside of the actual fighting, the animations are extremely poor and seem kind of half-assed, if I'm being honest. It's just trash to see this game. The game itself looks like trash outside of the actual fighting. The cutscenes and free roam look terrible, and you shouldn't have to say that about a AAA game. And yeah, that really shouldn't be an issue, especially in a cutscene. Alright, let's get on to my favourite part of Jump Force, the story. Oh my god. It's extremely basic, and it feels very random. It's full of fan service, which is nice to see, but it's disappointing to me to see a story be executed so poorly. With much of the game's audio either being in Japanese or just in subtitles, it's hard to actually stay interested or really even give two fucks about what the game's story is at all. And if I'm being honest, I really began to not care about the story and would just stop reading the subtitles and just try to enjoy what I could of the gameplay. But maybe if there was an English dub, I could have stayed more intrigued, but I highly doubt it, because the story was so basic and boring that I don't think I would have cared anyway. And I understand that this game isn't made for the story, but at the same time I think the game, if it had a more intriguing story with an English dub, a bit more polished, it could have maybe drawn in more of an outside audience and possibly bring more anime games into the spotlight, and we could get more AAA anime video games. But Jump Force kind of wasted the potential, and we may have missed out on having more kind of ambitious AAA anime video games, which I would have loved to seen, but Jump Force kind of fucked us over in that aspect, unfortunately. Now look, as I said before, there's lots of fan service in the game. It's very nice to see that, but I didn't really give two fucks about fan service. And I know there are some people out there that did like the fan service, but to me, I did not. It was boring to see them have to do that. Like, I don't want to see them have to use fan service in the game. Like, it's cool to see it, don't get me wrong, but it felt forced. And I didn't think it needed to be forced on in this game. They could have left it out. We didn't need to see it. So yeah, I'm disappointed in that as well. Look, overall Jump Force is just an unpolished, toothless mess of a video game that could have started the new age of AAA video games, but it was executed so poorly that it may have actually pushed anime video games further back. Jump Force can be fun at times, don't get me wrong, but with a lack of a English dub and extremely simple fighting mechanics, it really fails to keep me or anyone intrigued, and will most likely have players uninstalling the game to make more space after playing the game for the first few hours. But these are just my opinions, after all, and let us know in the comments what you think of Jump Force. Do you enjoy it? Do you think it sucks? Make sure you go check out our website, our Twitter, our Twitch, all that good stuff. Links will be in the description. This has been Seth from Silver Cell Gaming. I'll see you guys in the next week for another video. See ya.